SGC here, and we're back with a movie review. Mad Max Fury Road. Directed by George Miller, the same guy that brought us Mad Max back in 1979. Mad Max Fury Road is the 2015 sequel. The first film of the franchise in 30 years. This makes this the first Mad Max film not to feature Mel Gibson. And this movie stars Tom Hardy as Mad Max Rockintansky, and also Charlize Theron's in this film. Anyone else? Check down below. So what's this film about? Well, it's basically a post-apocalyptic world where water, greenery, newborn babies are a luxury, and that is the setting that we're thrown into. If you haven't seen the first three, the premise is loosely based off several years after a series of catastrophic worldwide calamities, and Max, who is a former highway patrolman, meets Furiosa, a woman attempting to cross an immense desert. Furiosa is this top sort of lieutenant woman from this city place, and on a job where she is getting gas for her leader, she actually stows away precious cargo of her leader and goes AWOL. And Max is thrown into the mix, and obviously the leader is like, hey, you took my precious cargo, I'm going after you. And that's basically the entire film of them, you know, escaping the clutches of this crazy guy. So what did I think? Holy crap. Holy moly. Wow. This movie, off the bat, I would say 10 out of 10. Yes, I'm overhyping this like madness, but this movie is amazing. It's amazing in terms of the scope, the characters, the pacing, the cinematography, the plot. It's just, wow. I swear this would be the new staple film to be compared to, as in they did it well or they did it not well, Mad Max did it better. Now, to break those things apart, first off is plot, because everyone cares about plot. You don't have to watch the first three to understand this movie. There are plot threads throughout the film that people who watch the first three films will understand on a deeper level, but if you haven't, you will understand to the point where what happened in the first three films really affected Max and his state of mind in this movie, as in people that he failed to save or people that he killed are now somewhat haunting him during this film. And that's basically the connection to the previous three. And also, I guess, the whole world building as to why the world is the way it is. You're gonna miss that, but it's a post-apocalyptic film, and they really set up the whole, like, oh, desert, wasteland, I have this somewhat utopia world of people in power and all that, system set in place. It's a very sort of set-piece sort of plot line that most people will understand because it's a post-apocalyptic film, and we have seen tons of those already. Characters. This is great. The characters all have just greatness in them. As in, they all foil each other, contrast, they're extreme from each other. Nicholas Hoult was amazing here as sort of like this worshiper of this leader, and he's so believing in like this world that he will die for him, and that like hope and that commitment to his own cause. And then you have Charlize Theron, who's also committed to this hope of a new world, this change. And then you have Max, who's sort of just going with the flow, and he's just sort of don't know what to do, like gotta get rid of his demons sort of vibe type of guy. So that's basically the bigger characters of this film. You have lesser known characters, and I swear they build them up really well. They have the threat level high, the risk factor is super high. Characters you meet for 5 minutes, when they die or something bad happens to them, you're like, wow, that actually happened. That they're gone now. Like, it has an impact, this oomph. Death matters in this movie, and it's just great, and I loved how they did it. So in terms of cinematography, George Miller really trusts his audience. Say, the huge sandstorm moments, there's a wide shot of that like once, and you see these tiny cars moving about, and after that, there's no more epic scale of like what's happening. He trusts the audience will go with these characters in these settings, and you sort of build your own epicness of it. I bet every single audience member would have epic proportions of how epic it is or how crazy it is. The practical effects is crazy. The way they filmed it really shows how these things literally happened on set. It's not CGI. From what I heard, 80% of this movie is practical effects. Obviously, the CGI would be the crazy explosions that are really huge, or the sandstorms in the trailer that you see down below. It's really great to see a movie in 2015 that does so much practical effects and does it really well, and really makes the whole organicness or the authentication of these cars that are super outlandish and they don't make sense, but the way they are used or how they function really is sold, and totally you would believe that this stuff is real, and it's just great. Now, in terms of the soundtrack, my goodness, I love it when a soundtrack is played into the context of the film. The soundtrack is done great, it really builds, and it's just really great. It adds so much oomph to it, to a already very intense film. Also, the action. The action here is great. If you watch my Avengers review, I did say the action was fun there, in the sense where it was fun to watch, but it then got tiring, as in like, it's the same thing over and over again. But here, I'm sorry I'm comparing it to Mad Max. Mad Max does action well. There are new things left and right, just greatness. Greatness. Explosions sure is a thing that is repeatedly happening throughout the film, but it's great. It's used great. And I would definitely say the action, some people will find it very exhausting, but I, for one, felt that it was very satisfying in the exhausting way. Like, that paid off. Like, wow, that literally happened. Like, seriously, the first half an hour is craziness already. And you're like, they're gonna top this? Are they gonna top this? Well, you definitely have to watch this movie to find out. Because this action-packed film is just great. I swear it is the best action film for a long time coming. Lastly, the thing I can talk about is pacing. This film is paced really well. We have a lot of action throughout the film. There's a lot of slow moments. There's a lot of characterization. It's a heavy film, as in lots of things happen. But they choose well when things slow down and they focus on certain things, and it's done really well. And it lets you breathe, because seriously, if you don't have breathing space for these epic, proportional action scenes, it's gonna feel very tiring for an audience. But they did it really well here, and I really enjoyed it. So, yes, I'm praising this movie like mad, because this movie totally deserves it, because it is great. I think the only nitpick I would have is that you would think a movie called Mad Max, that it would have tons and tons of Mad Max moments where it's focused on him. He's like the clear-cut main character. I would say there's more Charlize Theron here, as she is sort of the humanity of the entire story, where she's growing, the hope, the realization, the redemption. Whereas Mad Max is sort of the silent type hero, cowboy sort of type, where not too much is explained about him, but he is awesome. When he does his lines, when he does his action, it is just great. Like, one thing that really sold me on this movie was the whole characterization of these characters, how they paced them, the lines, the dialogue, the risk. Because, I mean, when you think about it, boiling it down, this movie, it's about going from A to B. Filling it up with a lot of things and having it done right is hard nowadays, because you can fill up with the wrong things, the audience don't connect, or going ways where your characters just feel like awkward and they don't feel like they're growing. But this movie does it all very well, and I totally recommend it all for anybody. So go watch Mad Max Fury Road. Like, seriously, it is amazing. It is so great. I will want to watch this again. Definitely will watch it in IMAX. If it shows up here in my area, I will definitely watch it, because this deserves to be seen in IMAX. Even though it's digitally converted into IMAX, I'm definitely sold on the idea that this needs to be seen on a huge screen. And yeah, I'm gonna stop it right there and just go watch Mad Max when it is out. Get your hands on it. Go to the theaters. Go to IMAX. Whatever. Just get your eyes on that film. And that is all. If you have seen Mad Max, leave your comment down below and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that is all for this movie review for Mad Max Fury Road. Out!